Mm.
Go live.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
All right. It says we're
Mm-hmm.
live, and look at that. Kit throws in $5 and says it's party time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Your card. It's party.
Yes.
Hi guys.
Oh, and you have to log into the YouTube to get into the live chat as a moderator person, and apparently, as of a few days ago, we have 200 channel members.
Wow.
That's
That's awesome.
phenomenal. Wow. Yeah. That's Thank you. There's so many of you now. You allow us to keep going and have confidence and to keep pushing forward and to make 7 videos that make no money on a Saturday. Because
Yeah.
that wasn't the point of them, and the core guys loved them, so that was the point.
Yeah.
I broke Stuart's brain, and that's the same topic for today, but different. But different. So I just saw that they wanted to say thanks right up front.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked out our videos on the time travel thing, there's a playlist. So check that out. And yeah.
This is a natural epilogue / third film in the trilogy of how to explain it. From the initial first reaction, the reaction video, our 6th video, and then this, because we got information. I hope you guys are gonna come in, listen, think with us, and discuss what we've been told. I'm gonna start making a pulse right away, and you can talk to them for a second.
Go for it. Okay, guys, hit that like button. We have 57 people here, 34 likes. Let's get it to 50 likes right away. Do it now. Yes, we did get 200 members apparently, so that's awesome, but I still want to get another 2 members during this live to start adding to that. So if you guys have the option to click that join button and check out a way to help us on a monthly basis as well. Super chats are important. Kit 10K has already thrown one in, but it's a great way to get your voice heard because we do read them all on the air and we do address them and talk about them. So if you're able to, please consider doing that. It supports the channel and it also gets you part of the conversation directly. So lots of advantages for everybody.
Directly or directly? Who's works on Star Trek Picard?
You just ignore him. He's fine.
Thanks, Plenty. Appreciate it.
But yeah. So if you can support us any way you can, guys, check out the links down below. PayPal, Trekyards@hotmail.com. There's lots of different ways, and also links, affiliate links for Eagle Moss and things like that as well. So
and read the poll, and then I will jump and share as soon as you read it.
All right. It says, are you still confused about the time travel logic in Picard? Yes, still confused. Time zero. Nope, makes sense to me. I mean, I don't worry about it. It's a good option.
Which is, I thought the third one's a fair one, because some people do just watch these shows as pure entertainment and don't mind. I'm not going to say don't care, but don't mind. And other people don't have the same encyclopedic knowledge as we do, so when they watch a show, they just absorb it. You know, a lot of people didn't think when the Discovery Klingons had cloaks. A lot of people just thought, oh yeah, Klingons have always had cloaks, not reusing TOS. I still haven't had that, fixed that plot hole. But you know, but always were like, oh, thoughts, conversations, because you know, once you say one thing on Star Trek, it becomes the law going forward, even if it starts backwards. You know,
Yep.
It's a bold thing to do, and it's a very powerful tool that the people making Trek have. So I'm gonna share. See you in a minute.
Go share. Yes. And that's my time with you guys. I want to say thank you for watching. Click that like button. Let's try to get those likes up. We have 87 right now. I want to get to at least 75 off the start. So please do that. And if, like I said, 2 new members during this one would be great. Just hit that join button, see if you can help us on a monthly basis, or head on over to Patreon/Trekyards. It's another monthly way to help us as well. Yeah. Like I said, affiliate links down below to Eagle Moss and a whole bunch of stuff, and you can save yourself some money with our discount codes. So lots of great ways to support us here. And like I said, as well, PayPal, Trekyards@hotmail.com. Just let us know in the regular chat that you sent that, and we'll read your comment or question via the email from PayPal. So Planty is here. It says, congrats. Well, thank you very much. Good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while. But yeah. So guys, lots of ways to support us, like I said, but hitting that like button is super important. So please hit that like button, and let's get this conversation started about time travel, timelines, and David Mack. So I don't know if you guys have seen the David Mack breakdown of the timeline thing, but he's kind of explained it very talented guy. He's a writer, and it kind of makes more sense now, for sure. So, if you haven't checked it out, check out his Twitter or davidmac.pro, and there's a blog on it there. So, ooh, Kamian Reed has just joined the channel at the rank of Commander. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard, Commander. That's another member. I only need one more now before the end of the live, so you have got that first slot, so thank you so much.
That would be good. So yeah, David Mack is a prolific writer. I'm on his Memory Alpha, which is not always going to be fully up to date, but 35 books. That's a lot of licensed material.
It's more than I've written.
Is it more than you've read, as in Star Trek books?
Probably about the same. I don't know. That's a good question.
6 Pocket TNG, 6 Pocket DS9, 6 Starfleet Corps of Engineers, 4 Star Trek Vanguard, 4 Mirror Universe, 3 Star Trek Destiny, 1 Typhoon Pact, 1 TOS Classic, 1 The Fall, 2 Section 31, 2 Seekers, 1 Legacy, 1 Titan, 1 Gallery Discovery, 1 Coda. He also wrote 4 short stories, he wrote 1 comic, and he helped write the dialogue for 2 DS9 video games, and the ever-popular, Stuart, you love it, you revere it, he wrote the character biographies for Star Trek Starship Creator. The bullet to your brain sort of video game that was released legitimately. But that's not his fault. Yep. I'm just saying it was.
Yep.
I was so excited when I found that in like a store and I bought it and I played it, and it's like I didn't play it because it's not a game. Anyway.
Kit 10K throws in another $5. So thanks so much, Kit. So there are 200 members now. Sweet. Now, guys, let's get those likes up and keep this momentum going. Well, thank you, Kit.
Please do.
Like, we're over 100 people here now, so let's easily hit 100 likes. Just tap that like button.
Yeah, so this is reasonably in depth, but we're going to take it through on his website bit by bit. He explains it, and David Mack, I'm pretty darn sure that he's involved as a consultant in the Picard. So, disclaimer, this is not necessarily the official canon, but he does say one thing in this, as if he knows what he's talking about specifically, that is clearly well, in his mind, he's reading Season 3 script, so this is long since known, which means he might have accidentally revealed something, which actually is logical if you think about it, but since we didn't think about it, because we're not going to invent stuff, so it's really interesting, and you know, if this is what the writing team thought, and it certainly sidesteps literally the issue, which, you know, because we said that we were given the idea of time travel, which is certain sort of applied rules and logic, and they kind of blended it a little bit, but if there's logic beyond that logic, then all they have to do is sort of tell us, you know.
Yeah. Nitpicking Nerd says, why did Sela still exist if her mom is from an alternate future that never happened? Because she got sent back through the portal to the correct time, the original timeline, and survived. Yes. So that's how.
Yeah, because in time travel you can have effect before cause and cause before effect. You know, you travel in time, you go backwards, but you still exist in the past because you've still travelled. So anyone who has time travelled will still have time travelled because you did. Otherwise, there can't be a temporal Cold War, guys. Because think about it, if there's a temporal Cold War in the prime timeline where they change one thing, the other people in the temporal Cold War can't fight it because they will get erased from time, including every other time travel incident. So the first move wins. So therefore you can't have that. So there isn't that sort of logic because they can't be, unless it's temporal shift. But even this example takes away the idea of the time cops as well for a different reason. You know, which is interesting because that means we will not get Duquesne, like, impossible by this logic, because there is no Duquesne in this universe. There can't be unless he literally travelled between universes, temporal universes anyway. So we're not going to get Cisco or any of those ones from Times Out. Bell Wright's one, whatever one's called.
Past tense.
Thank you. Or, you know, this is a completely different Earth in every single way. This probably isn't. Well, this isn't Braxton. This isn't Henry Starling. This might not even be Third World War. Who the hell knows? They've not said anything about it. You know, it's not Kirk visited. It's not Whale Pro visited. It's not, as in time travel. It's nothing. It's just a different Earth. It's a completely different Earth reality. So it is the prime universe, but not the prime timeline. That's kind of the simple way of looking at it.
Yeah, but see, I mean, that's easier to understand when you take out the fact that the punk on the bus. I mean, it's a nice little touchstone. It's a nice little thing for fans, but it kind of almost negates what they're trying to do just for that cameo.
But once you move into its own quantum reality, then there are other time travel incidents happening in that reality that are separate.
Yeah.
So
maybe he was just lucky enough to run into two time travel people with two different timelines.
Yeah. Or someone else punched him in the face around that. Because, once you change the past, you also change the middle. So he probably was never on that bus in San Francisco, which means he might have been, attacked by different punks, etc. But what does the poll results, Stuart? What does that say while I bring up the...
Well, right now, are you still confused about the time travel logic in Picard? Yes is winning with 43%, because they're still confused about the time travel thing. No, makes sense to me at 30%. And in last place is, I don't worry about it, which is 27%, which is still very high. I think a lot of people are just more casual viewers. That's kind of where they're sitting. They just want to see how it plays out. They don't look at the minutia.
And I was surprised it was such a big blowout element. I thought that it doesn't necessarily make sense. They'll explain it. We'll see. I definitely didn't expect to have that many videos about it because I thought, well, they'll explain it. It's fine. Or we'll see Duquesne, or we'll see Time Cops. Like, there'll be something cool with it. I didn't for a second think it would be, not explained, etc. Okay, so here's the website, Stuart. We can read it bit by bit, sort of take turns in it. So you can read the intro. So David Mack, prolific Star Trek author, who has more writing credits than either of us by 100%. So.
Yeah. All right, Picard's temporal mechanics. Because I need a shorter link to which I can direct people, and I try to explain what the temporal mechanics in Season 2 of Star Trek Picard are actually quite well done. I am making this blog post. It is an updated version of content I have previously posted on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
So yeah, you can find it in multiple places. It goes on to say, some fans I've seen talking about the latest developments of Star Trek Picard seem confused about the temporal mechanics of the whole thing.
Which does show that it wasn't fully clear either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. The writers of Star Trek Picard are depicting a single timeline in which one set of quantum potentials that have been dominant are suddenly deprecated and therefore inaccessible. When something causes a new set of quantum potentials to overwrite set A, with the trigger event pegged to April 15th, 2024.
This is the key sentence for the side story. When Admiral Picard destroyed the alternate Borg ship inside its own interspatial rift in Picard Season 2, Episode 1, he triggers the collapse of his timeline's quantum potential set and creates the conditions to bring about potential set B. Q preserves the consciousness of Picard and those of the Serena crew from set A, puts them into the place of the counterparts from set B. So instantly, full split. And body shift. Because you don't time travel and put your brain in your body. So they're totally different bodies in a totally split timeline that Q basically manifested as well. He kind of made it like he moved Picard across the dimensional plane to a different universe.
But Picard, by destroying the thing in the interspatial rift, just basically annihilated his entire timeline.
Well, I don't know about that. That's interesting. I just assume because
That's
Picard.
What they say there.
Well, that's just because we as the audience are out of that reality because Picard's dead. So that's like if he's dead, there is no timeline for him to follow because he's dead. Again, I didn't necessarily get it was universe destroying.
Carrion Spores says, I did think that Q might be from a different reality, or that the Borg might Yes, it definitely appeared so. They do say an interspatial temporal rift.
Yeah, but I still assumed it was from our future, but now it's from an alternate reality. I mean, obviously, once you change the future, it's an alternate future. That yes, but I hadn't quite mentally thought that. So, because but it could have been temporal from like yesterday. There was no context to that. So now we know it's an alternate future, or alternate past. Borg. Well, how do we? Well, I guess it could be a year ago. Past is still past. So it's an alternate future Borg ship that's trying to change the present, which is totally separate from whoever's changing 2024. Because we still have no information who, what, when changed 2024 on April 15th. We don't know. We have zero information. It's implied Q did, but he has no powers now. And why is he gonna? Why would he tell Picard to stop himself? So there's something there, but it's not the Borg Queen because that's a different universe now. And this is a different universe Borg Queen. So there's no connection to the Borg here anyway. So that's the other story that we haven't got to yet. We're just trying to currently get to fix it, but because Picard died, we have no idea when whoever changed the future came from, because Picard dies, and then someone goes back and changes the future. But we don't know when from exactly, because it isn't the Borg. So who changed it, why, when from?
And Dave Rand McKay throws in $5 with no comment, but thank you so much, Dave. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Multigun Man. Well, and
All
Tom,
right,
so the problem with this, though, and Tom says he already understood it, it was obvious. The thing is, though, Picard explicitly said, this isn't an alternate reality, it's our prime universe. But
yes.
This does not say that. Once it fully diverges and erases everything, because Q's shifted them, yes, they're in their same universe, but the entire timeline has been changed because Q moved them. So it's not their prime timeline, which the double interesting thing is, whatever happens in this present has zero effect on our universe. It's not our universe. Like, there's no effect. The only thing they might be able to do is travel back to when it diverted, maybe, and then undo it, but like this is like Guinan will not remember anything that happens here because it never happened in their universe. Q has to shift them back into their universe because this is all a Q test. We assume that's kind of what he says at the start. So there are no butterflies unless they're content to live in this universe, but then they're also just saying it's not going to be prime ever again. It might get to a similar prime, but they've now, he has to push them back into their universe. Which we assumed it was time travel, not alternate universes. Or at least alternate timelines, like full alternate timelines. You can have branches, or you can have completely different trees, and they shift to a different tree. So it's different rules there. Or different logic, anyway.
This goes on to say, because the quantum potentials of Set A have been overwritten, unless and until the trigger event on April 15th, 2024 is corrected, there can be no accessing the events of Set A. Any time travel backwards from the altered future of Set B will be into its own past. And any events altered in that past by time travel actions from the darker future of the Confederation, which is Set B, will contribute to an altered past, or Set B's past. This is why the La Serena can journey only into the past of Set B, altered version of the timeline, even when it journeys to a point before the divergence event. It is still in the altered timeline. See, thank you for that explanation, because it means time arrow never happened. None of that stuff did. Perfect.
Because you can see in this graph, there is the prime timeline, which this is not in. It just isn't.
Yeah.
It overrode everything. It swapped. It moved. So because even if they fix it, QS is still snapping back into their sort of reconnect the pieces, you know. But they've also have changed it in a sense as well, because Rios never was in the past to change things. So it's already going to be different unless Q puts them back together. But if you're going to go back to your own timeline's past, the things that have happened have still happened. So you're still going to have Kirk, because it did happen once. You know, there is time travel that exists in the course of linear time still, which still happens. Unless you skip the branch and go to a different universe entirely. And while it might be the same universe, it's a different timeline entirely. So it's kind of like the Kelvin timeline, but that just sort of kept off its own thing, and then you just call it a different universe because there's a different universe. But it's basically the Kelvin timeline, which does also confirm the Kelvin timeline was changed in the past because it's a different quantum. Like, it was also a gigantic shift.
And Tom Wood says, but it did happen to Picard. Yes, he still remembers it all because his whole consciousness was shifted.
Yes.
So
because Q literally moved him from one universe to another. He died, and so he still died.
Yeah.
So the test is what they're currently doing, and then Q has to, because I'm assuming the test is to make him trust the Borg Queen in some small way or some such. So when Q shifts him back into our timeline, it'll be before the events of season 1 or season 2, and then come on, internet. There he is. And then you made the phenomenal point that you think you did. You made the point that it's all going to be about trusting the Borg Queen, letting her do her thing.
Yes.
That's the thing that he has to learn to trust by teaching him this lesson. And therefore, when he is sent back into the present by Q, who is able to universe shift him, or his timeline shift him fully, then you'll just get episode 1 again. He'll wait, Borg Queen will happen. And then you'll be revealed, hello, I am either Jurati or your mother from another alternate future. I've come back to change the present. Blah, 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 blah. Like Endgame at that point. So it's actually, there's two different disconnected temporal instances happening. But this is all a Q, in essence, farce. Because it has no repercussions. In essence.
Yes. 160 people here, 88 likes, guys. Let's get those likes up to over 100. I want to go for 120 right now, so hit that like button. We need one more member to join as well, so click that join button. And we got a bunch of super chats. Let's get to those real quick.
Yes.
General Grievous throws in $5. I think Picard is the closest thing Q has to a friend or family. Why else would he preserve his consciousness, the consciousness of Picard, and kill alternate Picard? They have a very complex relationship for sure. So,
but also there's clearly a Q continuum problem there, and that he knows that Picard can solve. And you're right, he did kill alternate Picard because he put him in his body. That guy's dead. In all, like he erased that personality, showing how insignificant the universe is. Just like, let's be honest, when Q, because it's very similar, when Q shifted present day Picard into All Good Things Picard, like that man, that conscious of old Picard wasn't really him, you know, because that Picard didn't have all the marbles, etc. It was all kind of shifty and wonky and, you know, brain states. He's a god being, guys. Magic.
Taylor T, $5. Thank you for all the time travel explanation videos. Can we just rubber stamp this as Q shenanigans? How does All Good Things time travel work?
Well, that's not really time travel either.
No.
It's like Tapestry. Tapestry is a pocket reality that Q creates.
Yep.
But they can't say that in this without removing all the tension.
Yeah.
Otherwise, seeing Rios would be a waste of time. Borg Queen would be... Well, it's not the real Borg Queen. Although, Q does say, don't... Well, what does he say? Don't antagonize? What's his quote? Provoke. Don't provoke the Borg.
Provoke the Borg, yeah.
So, you know, and the Borg Queen is still a Borg... Even if it's a fake reality Borg, it's still a Borg Queen. It's still as dangerous as a Borg Queen if they can get loose. And you would think the Borg Queen has dealt with the Q before. You'd think. Or the Borg, I mean.
Yeah. Kit 10K, $10. Just got a report. Janeway has been taken to sickbay because her headache with temporal mechanics became a Category 5 migraine. Yeah, pretty much. And General Grievous, $5.
Thank you.
This change to the future may have killed off most of the continuum. He may be the only one to survive, using the last of his powers to save Picard. Could be that there's no continuum in this existence, perhaps.
I find that illogical though, because they are outside of time and realities, and so there's just a Q in general. There is no Q of multiple realities. You'd think there's just a Q of the Q. Otherwise you should have multiple John Delancey Q stories, because you say, well, I'm Q from Universe 13B, I'm Q from Universe 90F. Hello Q, hello Q. You know, like I would assume once you change the timeline, there is no other Q. There was never a Q that dealt with this Picard. There's only ever our Q who shifted. Because that Q didn't live in this reality. That Q's not from here. That Q's from our reality.
Is he, though? He's acting...
Well, hey.
Has been since the beginning, so...
Who's to say on that level, but...
He doesn't remember Picard when he first comes in, so it would be implied that he is the Picard, or the Q that we know, so...
Yes.
All right. So here we get into kind of the conversation about the punk and stuff, for clarification.
Although by this point, it all makes sense. It's just a separate reality. So at this point, it's kind of, for me, it's fine.
They explain the punk because that's still a
Yes.
sticky point for a lot of people.
Sure.
Kit 10K though, $5. If the continuum has told you once, they've told you 1,000 times. Don't provoke the Borg.
Yep.
Yes. So when this overwriting of the timeline continuum state occurs, thereby changing the future that follows to potential set B, it also changes any past events that would have been caused or influenced by the now lost future set of A.
Which is very important in the normal time travel. Those would still exist in the normal time reality, which would keep the temporal cops, 31st century people. That's really important for one singular timeline, a la Back to the Future.
Consequently, past events linked to quantum state potential set A, if they occurred at all in any form, are now linked to the conditions of quantum state potential set B.
Which means that because this is a new reality, yes, time travel still happened, we assume, in some way in the future, but they may be time cops with the Confederation time cops, who, by their logic, may then still have gone back and changed, theft up the timeline. There still may be a temporal Cold War, but from a different point of view, and because we're in a totally different reality, like, it would be really quite funny if there was... Like if there'd been the punk, and we see like a tattoo, like he'd done his arm up, and we saw a Confederation Wrath of Khan brand, like he'd been burned by Kirk as a "don't piss me off." Like that would have been the clever way of saying, like, "Oh no, we're in their past." You know what I mean? That would have easily fixed the problem. Oh, far more vicious, because that's going to be evil timeline people who have all, because the rail probe would still be, irrespective of time, would still come to Earth. You still got to deal with that problem. Don't know why time travel would be involved in that necessarily, but
that's what we're getting here in a second. Here. Yeah, we're getting to the will probe part right here. Ergo, bringing about an altered future also creates an altered past. That doesn't mean that some version of past events we knew from set A never occurred. However, the specific details of those events may differ from those we remember. They may have been undertaken with different intentions and involve different persons with varying outcomes. For instance, a set B, like we talked about, an alternate version of Kirk, may have been chosen or been sent by the Confederation to violently abduct whales from the now Alt 1986 in order to destroy the probe in the Alt 2286. During that mission to the past, Alt Kirk encounters Alt Punk Bus and uses a Kirk Fu neck chop to neutralize him. Now, when confronted on the bus in the Alt 2024, Alt Punk Bus reaches for his neck, not because he was pinched by Spock, but struck by Alt Kirk, which I love, which we kind of talked about. Somebody suggested that Kirk put him in a headlock or something, and it's very, very likely, but it just seems like this guy's luck is linked to time travel. So
they probably, if they were going full on, because they definitely did make it unclear in the episode, they should have had like a flashback of like a deep fake Spock in like a black uniform, just punch him in the face and be like, "Wow, that was."
Wouldn't be Spock. Because the galaxy's safe galaxy is a human galaxy.
I mean, I don't know. A foot soldier, they're physically stronger than Kirk, so they could be foot soldiers. And he's half human too. If he was still, we wouldn't necessarily still be born by. I mean, that son of Spock, Sarek might have been Cyborg. Well, would have been Cyborg as well, but etc.
Chris Little throws in £2. This all smells like damage control to me. Somewhat, but at least it makes sense, so we're thankful for that.
Yeah, they just weren't clear. I mean, it does make sense once you literally kill your antagonists and they wake up in a new body. That's not time travel.
Yes.
That we should have put a leap, because that is not time travel. That's universe hopping. That's really important.
Yeah.
If that one Picard line wasn't there, it would be obvious. But that skews the graphics so hard. The thing is, Picard's an old man. He got it wrong. He's allowed to get it wrong. He got lots of things wrong. He didn't know what the hell was happening, all good things. He didn't get it until they told him.
Yeah. It says the callback joke doesn't invalidate the temporal mechanics by introducing a paradox, because it leaves open the possibility for an alternate explanation for Alt Punk Bus reaction. No one says on screen that it was Spock who hurt him, and that he experienced a Vulcan neck pinch. Yes, it's implied for the sake of good Easter egg gag, but it's also left vague enough that it does not constitute a paradox or in any way invalidate the underlying temporal mechanics of this story.
And yes, so I suppose Alt Kirk traveled to the Alt Mariniverse to negotiate a crew exchange program. I mean, none of the missions in Mirror would happen. None of the TOS missions would happen. None of Enterprise would happen the way we thought, because there's a temporal Cold War. Literally every single thing, which in fact I'm thrilled then that the Star Killer, the Galaxy class, non-Galaxy class looks so different, because it literally could not look the same. There's no way the design is all linked up, and so I'm glad it looked different. Then it doesn't explain why they still have the TOS phaser and phaser designs, the phaser rifles, first contact. There should have been none of those things in the study. None of those make sense. None of them should exist, because why would they? At least there's a new phase with the Federation, but
Okay, so continuing this thought experiment, if the future of Star Trek TNG never happened, then the mission to 1893 from Time Zero, parts 1 and 2, if it happened at all, and it might not have, might have transpired in such a way that Guinan did not meet Picard in the past. But because of Elorian temporal sensitivity, she senses the temporal discordance when he introduces himself to her. She both doesn't know him, but knows she once did, a paradox, but one that fits the temporal mechanics of the Elorian abilities as described.
Because she's not detecting he's from an alternate reality, he did still travel in time. Irrelevant to if he's not from her reality, there was still time travel, was still going to feel those time travel points and still be affected by the sickness, etc.
There we go. Mark Lawrence puts in $5. What if Q was putting Picard into place at the end of his evil counterpart's life? He was on the ground when he woke up or arrived.
Or have a random synth heart attack, possibly. It's quantum leap. Yeah,
that'd be awful if the body was so realistic that it had heart attacks as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here. It might seem contradictory to canon, but it's not. It's an intentionally consistent set of temporal mechanics and one that comports with previous depictions of time travel in Star Trek.
But
in theory, if
still, the universe is the first important thing I should have mentioned. It's both. That's the important metric.
Yes. Get 10K, $10. There's a thought. If Seven wants to keep the Borg Queen from assimilating Earth, she and Raffi should introduce the Queen to the punk. She'd take a look at him and say, "What's this plans?"
And I'm getting the poll as well, because we have 150 votes. I asked, are you still confused? It was now mixed, yes and no. I'm sure new people came in and thought, you make sense. So 36% yes, 36% no, 28%. And I'm going to ask a poll about this, what we just said. Does it make sense to you guys?
Okay. Hit that like button, guys. I want to get 150 likes right now. We have 166 viewers, so please do. Also want one new member to join. We did already get one, but I was asking for 2 at the beginning of this. So click that join button, see what the options are, and see if you can support us on a monthly basis that way. And don't forget, PayPal is still a thing. If you want to send a PayPal to trekyards@hotmail.com with a question or comment, just let us know in the regular chat you've done that, and we will read your question or comment via the email for that. So yeah, this is clearing up a lot for me, and I really appreciate the fact that, I hope you guys appreciate the fact that we're doing this so that you guys can kind of get all the information and a discussion about it to clear it up. So
it's literally that line of Picard said, that's all the thing that screwed us over. Otherwise it would have been clear, you know? Because the punk's like, yeah, fine, punk.
So the new poll is, does this explanation make sense? Are you happy with it? Yes, works for me, or no, I don't buy it. Cayman Reed throws in £5. Do the Q exist outside of the prime timeline universe and can dip in and out at will? So Q is always our Q, and there are no alternate Q or continuum. That's the theory, yes. Continuum isn't stuck to one universe or timeline. But who knows, honestly.
I mean, the problem with that is that then Q would have to be interacting with every version of every Picard and every reality, because he is all of reality. If he's above it, unless he's picking this one Picard to deal with, which is possible. I mean, we don't know how many Q there are. There might be 530 trillion Q, and they all pick people from the billions of timelines. If it is a single Q for a single universe, it still doesn't stop us from happening, because our Q still moves this guy to a different universe, which would actually be phenomenal if that's why he has all his powers, because when he shifted, he's not in his quantum state anymore. And that might be, an interesting side effect. He's never travelled to an alternate universe before, of not his own making. He needs it to be here because this is where the thing is, and that would explain why, and some points out on Twitter, that when he starts clicking, the first thing he clicks, it fully stars, and then he can't do it again, and then he loses power over time, and now he's a human because he has no Q dimensional energy here.
Well, it could be that he could access those before, but like you said, in a pocket way, more controlled by him.
Yeah,
but this one with the explosion and the interdimensional rift and deleting the A timeline, he's limited on what he can do here because it's not. He's not in control. It's not under his condition.
Tapestry was a pocket universe he created. It wasn't real. If this is a real alternate universe, really created, then that might be super fun to have Q be like, Picard, yes, Q. So we actually have to get out of here because I'm literally powerless. And there isn't a guy with a fork in this universe. She's got a shotgun. Let's not Yeah.
So it goes on to say, in theory, if our heroes succeed at fixing the 2024 divergence event, thereby restoring the original state of the timeline and consigning its altered state back to the dustbin of unrealized quantum possibilities, they will still need to fix their own mistake in 2401 in order to prevent a repeat of the temporal collapse.
Which is another thing we didn't think there was a mistake.
Yes.
Because now we know from his context that there's more here than the story, which is really fun to have a complete sidestepping story that means nothing in the grand scheme, the grand scheme. Like, it would be really fun if then, yes, they literally have to warp in or phase in right in.
I think that's what the message lookup is for, to stop for him to stop the countdown somehow. Maybe.
Well, he started the countdown, but because like
we can stop it though.
But the question is, since they won't be leading to the prime timeline exactly, well, they can't be two Picards because that Picard will never be able to go back in time. So, they can't be two Picards in this reality because this is not the universe that Picard came from. Because by their logic of time travel, you can't time travel in your universe.
Maybe they're on the alternate Borg ship that came through interdimensionally.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. Ooh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So it is Jurati from the Confederation timeline because they don't fix the timeline because they can't be fixed, and then instead they work out just hopping over to our universe. But because they and just like with the first time we saw this in the season 1 episode, where the two different Picards and he's sort of out of time, and then he gets more lucid and then he becomes speechable. So maybe you need that second Picard to then come to our reality and then stop the blow up. But then there should only be one Picard at that point because there can't be two in this version of time travel because the one Picard could never have gone back to be the second Picard, unless he's from unless it's an alternate reality, which they've kind of now said. That's interesting, yeah. Yeah, maybe the end of season 3 ends with them going back to stop the start of season 2. I mean, that sounds interesting. The whole thing leads to getting a big Borg ship. That's interesting. Yeah.
It says here, but that's another problem. One for the season finale.
Oh, there you go.
Curiously, the diagram for the time travel shenanigans of Picard season 2 looks a bit like the diagram I had to work out for book 3 of the Star Trek Coda trilogy. Though for the one for more complicated, as you can see. And he goes on to say, to finish out with, part of me thinks the Borg altered Earth timeline Borg collective could eventually have become the Alt Borg who asked Picard for help in 2401, but that's just my own fanish imagination trying to tie them together. Fin. So that's it. Wow. General Grievous, $2. Plot twist Q needs his batteries like Trelane.
But it still doesn't answer who did the 2024 because it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. They're trying to recreate the prime timeline in this new universe because Picard blew up.
Anyway, it makes a lot more sense now. Thank you, David Mack, for clearing that up.
Yes.
If you guys haven't read this or you need to read it yourselves, there's ways to find it. Plus, it's also on his Twitter as well. So,
because I don't know if we've seen this form of time travel before, because you're creating an entirely new quantum universe that also affects the past. Because it's not Enterprise C, because if this was the logic, then when the Enterprise C comes into the timeline, change the universe, that also completely alter the past, but it doesn't alter the past, it just alters up until Enterprise C. Which when time travel happens, then you still have things like, the whale thing will still happen in that universe, etc. Yeah.
Well, guys, 188 people here, 122 likes. Let's get up to 150, please. I would really appreciate it. And try to get another member. Hit that join button. Let's see what you guys can join.
And actually, yeah, because this is not our universe, not the prime timeline. Timeline. Yeah, it's prime universe, not the prime timeline. There you go. Because now the Watchers, they would want to keep this timeline intact, surely, because that's their timeline. Like
they could also be preventing Q from using his powers as well.
Hey, sure. So that might be interesting if, because it's like, we need to change to a better future, and they're like, but that's not the future of this universe. Like, we're not going to let you do that. That'd be an interesting twist. I mean, he's not going to get them as help. Because why would they want the universe of their universe to change when this is now their universe? that is how it is destined to be. That is how it has been, etc.
They're here to protect what they know. Kit 10K throws in $20. This is why I could never be a time cop. Just like Janeway's temporal mechanic gives me a headache. I'd rather bang my head against a brick wall, since my head is harder than solid neutronium, and that won't hurt as much.
That's a Stargate
reference.
Yeah. But it's sad, because if they just stuck with our universe, you could have Duquesne, you could have Cisco, and by doing this weird alternate reality stuff, you just don't do all that. Now, yes, it means you have a blank slate. You don't have to have Guinan and no Picard. You can have all these fresh things. And it means it explains why Guinan's pissed off, because she'd never had the life we saw. Who the hell knows what life she had? So everything's different, right? But it would have been nice to have had it all connect even further. You know, this opportunity there, because you can't have Duquesne. Now, you could have an alternate Duquesne, a Confederation time cop Duquesne, but that's a waste of everyone's time. I'm sorry.
I think we're going to get an explanation next episode from the Watcher. They're going to explain what's going on and maybe clear some of this up on screen.
Yeah. Possibly.
But Awesome Sauce says, Trekyards, when was the last time an episode of Star Trek gave you so much to talk about as Picard? Quite often, a lot of the Prodigy stuff gave us a lot to talk about.
Some of the Lower Decks, the holodeck one was a lot. Season finale, episode 1. Packard reveal.
But this was the most sticky, non-clear, murky...
Which is funny then, because Prodigy's going to have time travel. But it's different when it's the future coming to you, because when the future comes to you, they're trying to change their present. So by definition, as soon as Janeway comes into in Endgame, her time is erased. Like, she's now changed her future, boom. We never get going into the past, which also changes the past. Like, the past of the past. That's super unusual.
Or the Watchers know that the multiverse is similar to how the uptime agencies know different quantum realities.
It's just funny because they're playing with so many versions of things. Because if Prodigy's coming from another alternate timeline, like, did they have discussed with the Picard team? Because they before Picard, but they must have come from a different. You know, they were before the quantum reality shift. Which shows somebody
working on Picard said to me, I'm not going to say who, but they said Star Trek is truly a multiverse now. And I don't know if that was a slip up or what they were referring to specifically, but it's an interesting statement, to say the least.
Well, I mean, Discovery doesn't fit at all. Like, really, obviously Kelvin's unique, Mira's unique. Riker got killed in parallels, etc. And I don't know why it wouldn't be just as valid just to admit it's a parallel universe, like just say that outright. Maybe because it's just like when Tasha Yar and I was told by Guinan and there was an alternate like it's still, yes, we don't care about Raffi destroying a cop car window, but they can still get killed. They can still kill people in the future that they'd still be like they know. It doesn't detract too much. I mean, yes, it's not as good, but But
let's not forget that Q made a reference to yesterday's Enterprise. Yeah. Said, how yesterday's Enterprise of you.
And Mirror.
That he's thinking along the wrong path, perhaps. So.
Mirror, also alternate.
Kit 10K, who's been a member for 3 months at the rank of Federation President, which is an awesome rank to be a member at, so thank you so much, Kit.
It is.
Over 130 likes now. Excellent. What is Federation President? I am ordering those who haven't hit the like button to hit it and get the like count up higher. Yeah, I want to get to at least 150, which is 13 people. It should be really easy. So give it a hit.
Yeah. Please do. But no, it's interesting. Like, this was a great read. It seems so logical when you add that extra factor. Because it's really hard to remove time cops when they're literally removed from time. They're immune to every change in our prime timeline. They are literally there to help fix our prime timeline. Like,
unless they were sitting in the future with their temporal shields on, and all of a sudden history just is gone, and they're sitting there going, "What?" And they can still see the divergent point in 2024. That's the only place they can go back to, because that's where it split.
Well, they could still go out to anywhere, just it would cause more ripples of problem.
Yeah,
Uh,
but then maybe they know that, and that's why Duquesne, let's hope it's Duquesne, actually goes there from the prime timeline and
I
says,
was, I was saying relativity can also travel through dimensions. Well, I mean, I guess maybe their universe shifted, maybe their universe protected as well.
could be.
But this is Q that shifted them. Therefore, I assume it's out of the God power region of tech. Like that kind of removes all those things.
Possibly. It's
Because
hard to say with the branching diagrams he's got here, temporal divergent point, like, it,
because the relativity shouldn't have the right to de-universe a universe, but has the right to correct our timeline. As soon as it becomes a separate universe, that's not our universe to bullshit with. They have no right to cop it.
but if nothing exists in ours anymore,
But
and
it
theirs are really
does. No, it does. It's just
really
not for
stranded.
Picard. Picard can't get there without a... Like, it does still exist. That's silly. You can't erase a universe. It's just pathed. They can't get there because it's, you know... How do you find your exact universe in the chain of multiverse? You know, it's too much. And also he's dead, so... You know, he doesn't exist there anymore, etc. You know, because literally it's their job to see the timeline having a problem, scan it, travel back, fix it. So they obviously move from everything.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and if you do read this blog thing and you click on the little branching tabs, because there's stuff in there as well, which explains it quite a bit.
And someone said Jonathan Frakes is directing the next episode. Interesting. Yeah. That'll be fun. Didn't know he was doing this. Well, I mean, I assumed he was, I guess, but I didn't.
He does really good work even on Discovery, but let's keep in mind, as Mario said, he did direct Stardust City Rag too, so...
But that was obviously limited by, you know, budget and time, and not a very interesting story overall. And whoever said make him French, you know, silly stuff like that.
Am I not sufficiently sinister?
Mm-hmm.
Tunishi throws in €5. My theory: Q prevented the beginning for the chain of events that started World War III, and now Picard and company have to make it happen. World War III was a wake-up call. Absolutely, it was. It's an integral part to what makes the future the future. So, yes.
Maybe.
Perhaps the time traveling was caused by the Confederation. Yeah, because Q says, show them a world of their own making and they blame you, implying the Confederation's existence is Picard's fault.
And Kamen says, but if we accept Mac's explanation, the prime timeline we knew is gone until Picard fixes it. He says it is collapsed and overwrites in the new timeline. No, the same as a Kelvin timeline. You can't just hop back because things have already changed, etc. It created that separate split. You'd have to go back to when the Kelvin, but then by that point it's already changed everything in the past as well. It's just now a new quantum. That's where the Q powers comes in, because you don't get an alternate past without changing the entire universe. Otherwise, the past is still the past with the changes of the middle.
The past is the future is the past. Oh. Hold on 1 second, I'll just be right back.
Yeah.
Hold
on. Let's see.
Alrighty. Why were the Borg asking for help? We don't know. That's another thing, too, when they say we require... What do you require? Power. We've already seen that the time jump for the Borg Queen with La Serena drained her to the point where she was unconscious when they came through. So I think the same thing here, opening an interdimensional rift and a temporal one, drain them of power, so they're actually siphoning power off of Stargazer and probably the other ships. But they're also uploading... They were taking control of the computers, but I think they're basically just uploading everything to the fleet, talking about what they want like they want to join the Federation or they need help, and this is the information. Instead of vocalizing it, get it done really quick with these tentacle things. Comes off as super aggressive. Probably not a great way to go about it,
But the Borg aren't known for subtlety.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems tame for them because they're just stunning people. But Shadow says, "Love the channel, guys." Well, thank you. We love you too.
Thank you.
We really do. Whoever you are.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's. I mean, it's certainly interesting. We've never seen alternate universe Borg, so that creates a whole separate thing. You know, and that also explains why the ship looks different, but still close enough. The Borg Queen looks different, but close enough. You know, especially if they are literally traveling from alternate futures, like in this same vein, with an alternate past. Then these Borg could be anything. They could have already found perfection, gone organic. Could be a, you know, and I actually like the idea of coming from the Confederation universe. You know, like I said, cause and effect. One can come for the other, dependent on, you know, situation.
And Emo Seal says the Queen was only stunning. She was only stunning people. She wasn't killing anybody. Except, that being said, there were consoles overloading and blowing people into bulkheads. Those people are probably pretty injured, but that was like secondary collateral damage, I guess.
Yeah, but that also, you know, that's Stargazer's faulty, not her. I mean, you build a shit ship and it blows up and it kills people. It's not her fault. Build better ships is what you're saying. But it also would be fun that then, yes, the ultimate. She thinks she knows how the tech works, but that's from in her universe, the tech's more advanced or less advanced, and it can't connect properly. Yeah, which I like, you know.
Yeah. Kit 10K throws in $20. Another explanation for Q's powers starting to not work as the timeline is beginning to set and the time is starting to erase the Q we know and replace him with his counterpart in the Confederation timeline. Or perhaps whoever evolved into the Q eventually in this timeline got eradicated by the Confederation. So the Q don't exist in this timeline. So the closer they get to the divergent point, the weaker Q gets to the point where eventually he has no powers.
Because I don't think there's ever been anything in Trek where a future solidifies. You know, you just go back and stop the thing that you're stopping. You know, if Kirk goes back to 2015 and you go back to 2014 and wait for him, you can kill Kirk and stop the future from changing. There isn't, and it'll be changed. There's no you know, it's now whatever. So there's no like ripples in time. From that sense in Trek, it's, you know, that's never been established. You know, when relativity detects a change the timeline, it's going to be instant relative to them.
And Emo says that the Queen was as considerate as a queen can be.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. She was, absolutely.
Yeah.
Could have been much worse. Yeah.
Invited Picard politely, you know. Didn't destroy the Avalon. Just maimed it, you know. Took his Passage. Oh, no, wait, his Passage's already off.
Yeah. And Awesome Sauce, yes, that's one of the theories for sure.
More interesting. I mean, and especially that makes also a lot more sense now that I've just put two and two together, because Picard's going to hang out with her more, I'm sure. So if he talks about his mum with her, if he mentions she said look up, then that could be why Jurati knows it as Borg Queen, because his mum makes zero sense. Even alternate mum.
The Borg Queen calls him Picard. It would have been too much of a giveaway if she beams on board and says, "Hey, Mister."
Mr. Locutus. So she you know, goes both worlds.
Mr. Locutus Picard.
JL the third. Yeah.
Dave puts in £2. Thank you. I keep thinking of the Borg in the future of Star Trek Lower Decks.
I mean, I'm waiting to see Borg everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, no Back to the Future logic. No. Time travel has been explained multiple ways in different shows, as Endgame teaches us. So, yeah, who's to say, really?
And we talked about it does play in different episodes. It's mostly consistent, but
yes,
it does play differently, kind of as they want. But the entire, you know, season of all 4 seasons of Enterprise revolves around the idea that there's a temporal Cold War. You know, it is a bit obviously odd that in season 4, the start of season 4, Daniels manages to send the Nazi alien people back. He gets like degraded by the time wake, whatever, and they have to stop them. And yet other events happen, they don't have to stop them. So, but if a temporal Cold War by definition is you trying to out time people, finding an event, finding a way of doing it that, if everyone's wearing Kevlar and shooting 22s, the first person to get arm-piercing round wins. But you're all developing new armor at the same time, so it's about that shifting thing. As soon as Voyager had temporal shielding, Anarax was screwed. As soon as the first ship had temporal shielding, it messed up everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Wait, no, Matt Decker, time crystals. Yes, go to where the hell planet was called. Go and find some time crystals. Yes.
Matt Boardman, $5. Okay, but at what point do we find out that Picard misplaced the Grey Sports Almanac and it was found by Gul Dukat? That's good.
Well, when he walks back in the room, because he's not dead, because he's changed timeline.
Would have been hilarious if it was mounted under his skull, the Grey Sports Almanac.
But like it's got Cardassian stuff on it, like the Canard Drinking Monthly. That would be amazing though if like there's some side story where a character like Damar walks in, talks to Picard, and then instantly Dukat walks in and is like, what? Change the timeline.
Borat. That's the plan.
Thank you, yes. Because Picard's not now immune from timeline changes. They're in the timeline, so according to this logic, it'll erase... Because their goal is to erase themselves. That's the thing. They're now fractured out of time. It's no longer a single time where you can have two of yourself. It's a fractured way of doing, etc. If you can stop your present you from blowing up, who the hell knows what's going to happen according to this logic? Yeah? Normally, there'd be two of you, and then you'd wait for your other self to go back in time, and then you'd wait, and you'd continue, and cycle through,
Kit 10K, $20. You're right, Samuel, about we've never seen Borg from an alternate reality. In other realities, they could have a Borg king, Borg king and queen, a Borg princess, or... Okay, I need to sit down before I hurt myself.
Yeah. I mean, it opens up literally any possibility.
Yep. Well, there was always a joke. What were the Borg like in the Mirror Universe? Super friendly? Like the Canadian Borg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a free $1 per sip with every hive mind you join. Every person you add gets a new,
Free box of Tim Hortons Timbit.
Yeah. Yes. Every new drone is a free cup of coffee on your stamp card.
Yeah.
Or a free stamping cup of coffee card.
Incentive to make the Borg better.
Yeah. See, it's not negative. You join voluntarily, and you don't lose your individuality. Does the Borg conquer the entire universe? It's just an optional chip you add to your brain, and there you go. Yeah.
This is the way. Yeah. So anyway, that did help a lot to help me understand it. So I really appreciate Dave Mack for doing this, and this is a good end to our time travel. Our whole time travel not like a lecture, I guess.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Case studies.
Yeah, it was until we're told the rules, we're going to take case studies from everything else. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At the end of the day, the time cops are still immune to whatever changes in the timeline. That's literally their job.
Mm-hmm.
Literally their job. And doesn't matter if the Temple Cold War banned time travel still happened in the 29th century. Just because you ban it in the present of the 30th century, it still happened in the 29th century.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, obviously, the Temple Cold War agents went back to the 20th century and killed the time cops. But we don't know if that happened or not as a separate equation. That's cause-changing event.
Now, other people have been mentioning Discovery, where they say they haven't heard from the Borg or from the Q in 600 years.
Yeah.
And wondering if this is involved somehow. And I don't know the answer to that, because that's still a few hundred years beyond where Picard is at this point. For the Q...
Well, as I've said to you a few times, Discovery can't be the prime timeline anymore, because once they jump into the future, well, that was the future of the Endgame future, because that happened once, they shifted all the way to the future, then it all got changed along the way. Because time travel happens once first. There wasn't always time travel, there was a linear progression of time travel. That had to happen the first time, and then it started getting screwy, X, Y, and Z. There wasn't always time travel. You just had to live your days, etc.
Is the Carbon Creek Vulcan supposed to be in the show or not? No, not that we're aware of.
And he'd be, well, old, but I guess not that
And
old.
you can't say that happened if the timeline was erased, but Time Zero didn't happen. I mean, it does say here that Time Zero might have happened, but in a different way, so Guinan never actually met Picard.
But then it didn't happen
But-
then. Like, what's the point in saying
Exactly.
alternate Picard, who's a monster, went back and killed? Because they didn't went back because they got pulled back because they accidentally got pulled back. I mean, there's no reason to think anything we ever think happened. It's so different. You know, there was no mirror universe whale probe excursion. You know, that's just not how they were going to think. You know, all those. There was no Star Trek 1 to make 2 to make 3 to make 4 time travel. It wasn't a coincidence all these things happened. You know, they had the bird of prey because they were on the X, on the Z, on the Y. You know, so it's all completely. It can't happen. Someone else might do it, but it can't be them.
And yes, Car, Disco has never been Prime. Amen. Preach. It's the truth. So yeah, let's see. We have 166 likes. We got 190 people here, though. Let's get up to 175. I could honestly do with another $10 in super chats as a way to close out here.
Yeah.
And another one member joining the channel would be awesome. We do have one, but that's only 50% of what we need.
Yes.
It's live. I set a goal of 2, damn it.
Mhm.
I want 2. So hit that join button and see if there's an option to help us out a month.
It would be fun, though, now we've sort of gone through the timeline stuff, if they double down on it in this way, meaning if they actually do have it be Duquesne, and it's now alternate Duquesne, and he did recruit President Hansen, or even Picard, I suppose, would make more sense. And so now they're having to fight against, because in this reality that has all still happened apparently, and therefore they're still the evil time cops, because they're immune from the timeline changes. Because that's the thing, if the Confederation ever got time travel, then they also had temporal shielding, which means they are now also immune from the timeline changes, which means in this reality they will always have existed as well, unless Q shifts them back. You know, if there's a temporal cold war in this reality, it has also still happened, etc., etc. So that would be kind of fun if it was alternate Duquesne, who's evil, and it's like, but Picard, we worked together on the Sun Killer E. Oh yes, General Picard. Oh god, shit, yes.
Yeah.
And because remember, they even said in Gerard said the Confederation have never done time travel. She said that in the episode. So yet, future people. That's what I'm trying to say.
And Dan Ben says, we thought we saw Vulcans in the trailer. We did. We're not sure if they're Vulcans or Romulans,
Yeah.
but they do a mind meld, so you think they might be Vulcans. But that's not. It's not saying it's the Carbon Creek Vulcans. It could be anything.
Well, there's 3 Vulcans that scene. There's only 1 Vulcan to stay behind. So,
Mhm.
and he'd be old. I mean, not that old, but still old.
Mhm.
And why would he be there? Except, I mean, I guess he could have called home at some point. He still had his tricorder, I'm sure.
It could have been a young Soong, because it is a kid, so we don't know when that takes place
That's
either,
true.
whether it's current time or if it's a flashback to 30 years ago or something.
It'd definitely be very
More than that, because Brett's quite old. So
It would definitely be fun though if we do get Q now having a fully human conversation with Brent, with Sung being like, well, now in this reality I've got my powers because like we said, he phased himself out of his own reality. Which, I mean, we've never just, I assume there'd be another possible reality, but that is a bit all powerful. But do you really think a god being is putting all of his consciousness to dealing with a human? You know, even if you were to go and play with an ant, your mind might wander to what you're having for dinner. It's only gonna make you think fully for so long until you get bored. Your brain starts to wander. Even if you're still doing a task. So it's irrational to think a god being is not distracted by other things. So how many Qs are there simultaneously doing things? Well, since he's not linear, well, there's always Q doing always things.
do you think it's just their way of revamping canon? I mean, it could be. They could be trying to correct all the issues that have cropped up over the years. But I somewhat doubt that, honestly.
Although it would certainly be fun if they mention now that Discovery came from the Confederation timeline.
Hell yeah, I'm down.
I mean, it's more violent and more warlike. The Klingons look different because the Organ virus
Yeah.
was different. I mean, that would be fun. They wouldn't mention
And
it because
that-
they
and that-
look different for
and
100
that-
years.
And that would mean Enterprise was still the same, because Enterprise is in the Discovery timeline, and it's mentioned a few times.
But it wouldn't be Temporal Cold War based. It would still be a different it would still be the same ship-ish.
Yep.
Because as we see, they're not. It's nature versus nurture. So potentially, because of the Discovery Klingon War, that made everybody. Because Picard wasn't alive yet in this reality at the time of Discovery, and so if maybe the Klingon War messed people up so much that then they got more aggressive and evil based, etc., and then it led to Federation going wonky, maybe, and then I could buy that by the time Discovery gets to the 31st century, it's all sort itself out a bit. Like, people can't live in constant aggression, right? So by the time they get to that time, it's kind of all about nicer again. I mean, that'd be interesting, right, Con?
Kit 10K, $20. Thank you so much. Here's your 10 plus another 10. And as Federation President, I'm ordering someone to join the channel.
Oh my god.
Meet Stewart's goal for 2 new members. There you go.
Nice.
Ash Lemon throws in £2. So does Picard Season 2 set up the Discoverse, basically? Hey, if they do that and explain that, I'd be happy, honestly. I would be happy. I don't know about you guys, but I would certainly be ecstatic.
And it would be fun for the Klingons to explain the cloak, explain the Klingons. You just say that, yeah, they still got a virus at some point, and it worked, but as in they succeeded in bombing Klingon targets, but did the opposite. It took away their humanity, made them fully, whatever. And then the fact that the Takuma's an ancient sect, Enterprise to Discovery is, what, 65 years? I could see that being ancient in the context of the modern houses, maybe. Like, okay, bit of an exaggeration, but I could say, yes, we're ancient. And our looks have been, whatever. Obviously, all the reach, it was never in the show, but, I mean, that'd be fun. It'd be cool. And then you've got, the Confederation bullshit. Yeah.
John Shields, $5. I was really hoping to see CGI Cisco beaming out as they beamed in, or show Cisco beaming in at the end of Season 2 to tie that in.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, it ruins a lot of the fun, but also it makes it very clean. Fresh timeline, fresh sheets, fresh whatever. Doesn't matter. Butterflies are only butterflies only matter in you don't want to mess up people's lives, rather than actually timeline stuff. It's not your timeline, but you have respect for people's lives. They know that if we don't mess up the universe, everyone I know will still live. If I mess up the universe, things will go bad.
Yeah, and Mario says if they fixed Disco's origin, I'd go back and watch the series. That's hilarious.
Well, but it still wasn't made with that intent, though, which is a tricky thing. But
yeah. Shannon Nash, $20. Theory.
Ooh.
Soong, after meeting Q, sends radio message out saying he knows Vulcans are out there. Vulcans respond by landing in 2024. Soong sets them up, uses the first contact to unite humanity against all aliens. Why would Q help him do that, though? That's solidifying the Confederation timeline.
Well, unless he's deliberately trying to make foils for Picard. I mean, all of this is a test for Picard to show him how much of a bastard he is, I guess. I don't know. I mean, no, that's getting too convoluted.
Well, it sounds like Picard's idea to blow up the Stargazer with the Borg ship still in the interfacial rift is what's responsible for the timeline fuck up. So Q's got to make sure that doesn't happen, because oh my god, Picard was a little rash there, I think. But hey,
well, that would be interesting if they do say in the dialogue that the anomaly is unstable and therefore, because I would buy, and believe it's in Doctor Who, that you can send a shockwave through time, and it causes the burn, but in 5 different points in history, and that doesn't make sense, and yet it still happens. That's 5 different realities of destruction, and now they've essentially created 5 universes of death, because there's still parallels. Parallels are still happening. Choices are still creating alternate timelines. They've already made an alternate Confederation timeline by the definition of how they're doing things. It's weird because Discovery, while as flawed as it was still, it's easier with future people coming to the present, trying to stop the future. When you start messing with the past, it's really tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Because the past stuff should still be different.
And John Shields, Cisco isn't there at the same time. They beam in September of 2024. We are in April, so there's quite a few months removed from when Cisco will be there. So
no, it's a totally parallel universe. Never happened.
Mm-hmm. That too.
But
I'm saying if it was the same one, they'd still miss each other by miles.
Well, yeah, unless they kept, you know, it'd be kind of funny if they kept changing stuff. They have to keep like every month a new
tweaking it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to stop the poll. I asked. We have 158 votes. Does this explanation make sense? Are you happy with it? 62% yes. 38% no. So I'm actually kind of surprised. People still aren't quite buying it. But we wanted to very much throw it in. He is involved in the show and has given away, like we said, that the Borg should be an alternate reality, alternate timeline as well. But so was Voyager. I mean, so was Endgame. As soon as she came through, it was an alternate future. So that happens a lot.
Yes.
By the definition of time travel. That's why it's tricky, because the perspective characters who are following, but, you know, there are people from the future that live and exist and travel and do. And that's why as soon as you make temporal shields, you wonder why relativity needs to have temporal shielding, because one change and Duquesne's mum never existed. But he wants to see his mum, so he has to make sure he goes back to the universe he came from, otherwise his mum would never exist. That's why once you have time cops, it becomes the definitive prime timeline. And then you have the things where predestination, whereby Endgame always happened, because it had to happen to create the timeline where they could fix things. You know? It becomes a causality loop of certain events cause the time cops. Once you get the time cops, then you stop. Then you cement the universe. Then you get things, unfortunately, like the Temple Cold War people, whose job is to say, fuck that. I'm going to bend those things. But then you get the secondary time cops, who then have to then retweak their changes. Yes, the sphere builders can make the Xindi attack Earth, as long as they don't make Earth become a dickish country place after that. But it still's changed. Yeah.
Here's the problem. The Xindi never attacked Earth.
Not in this timeline, no.
Even in the prime timeline.
Well...
But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, as soon as the sphere builders went back in time, they erased every other time travel incident, which means Spock never happened, and because Enterprise happened differently, they never had Star Trek 4, because all the events would be different. I mean, really, you do need a multiverse at some point, but then do we care? This isn't our Picard. Is this Discovery Picard? Is this Prime Picard? Is this TOS Prime Picard? Is this Enterprise Prime Picard? It becomes, well, why do we care? There needs to be one version that we follow, otherwise it's irrelevant, because I would rather be watching, you know, younger TNG Picard, which we haven't seen in 26 years. Or I'd rather see Discovery Picard, who then could look different, because you could argue that, oh, he grew up in a different house, therefore his face evolved differently, so he can hide an actor, you know? You could do that, you know? If you're far enough back, yes, Picard sort of lived, but he looked so different.
Well, $2 to get to a really good number.
Yes.
If anybody wants the last super chat slot, $2 will do it. We also have 187 likes. Can we hit 200? Can we get 13 more likes?
We must be able
before we end, because I think we're going to wrap this up now.
Yes.
But last super chat slot's available for anyone that wants it. And like I said, $2 will get you that. So, oh my God, you mean there's no transparent aluminum? Oh, there eventually would be. It just wouldn't have happened as quickly. That's all. Or be invented by someone else who was supposed to invent it the original way before Scotty fucked it up.
Which also means, you know, things like Uber didn't exist in our timeline, because without transparent aluminum, without
Chrono works.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah. Because once you have time cops, that's the universe. Yeah. Like, that's how they've chosen to keep it. If they wanted to remove ChronoWorks, they could have, but they didn't.
ChronoWorks is important because it miniaturized the technology based on the reverse engineering of future tech. So that's why everything's so advanced now. Well, so cell phones and stuff exist because of ChronoWorks. Eventually would have existed, just would have taken longer.
Yes. Yeah, because, you know, we didn't have cryogenic freezing chambers in 1996.
We might. It could be a top secret government thing that we don't know about, kind of thing, you know? So.
But we did, because ChronoWorks happened. They help to
Yeah.
get processing power earlier, quicker, faster.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
Which is, I mean, that's the thing. Once time clocks are a thing, their literal job is to keep it on its straight and narrow. But Stuart, read the poll. It's our last poll of the day, and 5 more likes. 5 more likes. You do it.
Are you more or less excited for the next episode? More or less, or the same? Right now, with 46 votes, it's 65% more, which is nice. Got a few super chats in for that last super chat slot. Joshua 11345 puts in $5. It would be interesting if Kirk and crew and the Klingon bird of prey showed up in the Confederate timeline and how they would react to the Federation. Damn, yeah.
I mean, I'd totally buy, like, and this is expensive, but having a deep faked Walter Koenig, or like an actor with a deep fake face doing the voice, and it's now alternate Confederation Chekhov going back in time to do a different storyline from Wrath of Khan era, and it's like, god damn it, we now got to deal with alternate, Chekhov, because you could do that, and you can have alternate Janeway. You could have alternate Sisko come back in for a reason. That really could be a thing.
Christian says maybe that's why we don't see people walking around with smartphones in Picard 2024. Nobody's pulled one out and used one, I don't think.
No. Yeah, the Uber was there via house phone. The home phone called as a dialer.
It's like a taxi.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's interesting, actually. Yeah, you would think someone would have.
Mm-hmm.
But Rick and Morty, yes.
Rick and Morty still exists, yeah. Kit 10K, $5. Here's a question. When Seven Husband mentioned General Sisko, does that mean Captain Sisko no longer with the Prophets? It could also be Jake Sisko. It could be Jennifer Sisko. It could be
the cook, General Cook, Dad Sisko.
What's his new wife? Not Jennifer. Cassidy Sisko. Could be anybody.
Well, he's polygamous. Yeah, he married Jennifer.
It could literally
and
be General Sisko. He just never met they never moved the DS9 to the wormhole.
Why would they? Why would DS9 be built? The Confederation, I'm sure, went out and did way worse things early. Yeah.
Well, DS9 would have been built as a mining facility still, probably. But
well, if NX-01 goes more warlike and says human galaxy, and they start going out and build military, they might see the if they see the Cardassians even 50 years earlier.
Picard existed, though, and was an important figure for Picard to kill. So all of that Cardassian stuff probably would have played out similar enough.
But I mean, well, yeah, if we assume they didn't find the Cardassians until the same time, yes. But as soon as we find Cardassia, it's all different. But yeah, I mean that would still be late enough in the game for Ducats to be born, though.
And P.D. Pendrillion. Also, don't forget your Europa mission is probably tied to Captain Christopher's son from Tomorrow's Yesterday. No, he did the Saturn mission, which was in 2020, I believe. The Europa mission is for a moon of Jupiter, which is not near Saturn. So it's a different mission altogether. It's a different space race, obviously, in this world.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
Which is funny because they're doing a whole. This is both an alternate Earth and an alternate Star Trek Earth. It's double alternate. So I really hope Memory Alpha Net does not say Rick and Morty exists in the Trek universe. It doesn't. It exists in the Confederation universe. Like some things exist in the Mirror universe or the Kelvin universe.
Jason 6690 puts in $2, finishing strong. He was going for that last super chat slot, but got sniped by Chris Little
thank you.
with £5. So they have to save Rene Picard to unlock their own reality, and then they can go back to the point before they left and not blow up the damn ship. Yes.
And then Q would have to reintegrate them into their own body, which will then solidify and bring it back into their original timeline.
Because spoilers, we know that they're on the Stargazer in season 3 because Doug released an image of the production team on the bridge, and he had to blur out a little thing on one of the monitors that we would have noticed that was a spoiler. So
yeah, I guess technically that wasn't confirmed, even though it was blatantly obvious. Yeah, I guess technically, yeah.
Well, we knew they'd get back eventually.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean. I mean, some people saying, "Oh wow, they built that brilliant bridge for one use," and we're like,
"No, obviously not."
But some people. Okay, guys, I want to stop, but we're 29 from a really good number, and it's like teasing. You know what I mean? I mean, I know you know what I mean, but we'll see. We'll go on a 2 minutes.
Well, we got over 200 likes, which is awesome. We still don't have 2 members though. We got 1 member.
1 member's fantastic. Yeah.
It is, absolutely.
In the 200
The
club.
goal was 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, this was...
201. Do you want to be 202? You can join now.
That's true. But this was fun, Stuart. We had I love how we can have different debates, because once we know the logic, they can be different conversations. You know, we're not sticklers as long as there's some logic behind it.
Absolutely.
That's what we said in the other videos. Like, we're trusting them, but it's like if part of the reveal of a season is a reveal, and it only makes sense with that, to know early ruins it. So, you know, it's kind of sometimes hard to work it out.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
And then tomorrow we'll discuss something, maybe, probably, hopefully, anyway.
I was thinking maybe tomorrow we'll talk about Halo Episode 1.
Cool. Well, hey, let's ask. There's a good chance. Almost 200 people here.
Would you guys want us to talk about Halo Episode 1? I don't know anything about the Halo lore.
I've yet to watch it.
I'm gonna have a totally different feel for it than Samuel will have, so it'll be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But I watched it today and figured it's something we could maybe do for a live at some point, if not tomorrow, sometime eventually. Maybe wait till there's a few episodes under our belts. But
no, it's a really good idea. Yeah.
I think it'd be good for the first episode at least.
Yeah. Or gauge interest.
And then at the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah.
But Kit 10K throws in $5. Super Chat Snipe Baby. Ooh, so our Federation president is also our final super chat, guys. You're gonna let that happen? Or are you gonna assassinate the president with the snipe?
What?
Oof. You're gonna be on the grassy knoll? Or are you gonna be in the school book depository?
Okay, while this poll's going, so I want people to vote for it. You've seen the Red Dwarf episode with the grassy knoll?
Yes.
So I watched that when I was a lot younger. When you watched that, did you think that's an outlandish theory, or obviously there had to have been someone else that shot him? Which, because when I saw it, I was like, well, that obviously makes more sense because it's not listed doing it, but the logic of the grassy knoll.
That's a whole fucking conversation.
We've got 5 minutes of the poll.
Conspiracies and everything. I think it makes sense for sure. Even going back to everything that Lee Harvey Oswald said too about being a patsy, and then Jack Ruby assassinating him, like it's all a tangled web, but it's who's responsible for it and who's behind it that the conversation kind of leads to. So yeah, I think it's definitely likely. So, and Matt Boardman snipes in from the grassy knoll with $2, taking out our Federation president, or at least one of them. We have backup Federation presidents here.
Yes, those meetings we just sit back and watch
there's
them
another
bicker.
one.
What?
Our other Federation president, Mark Lawrence, snipes the sniper of the other Federation president.
Oh, because he wants to kill the president himself.
Because, yeah, he took out the other president.
No, he took out Matt, so they can fight the presidents.
No, because Matt already killed Kit 10K.
Well, it was a come on, £2. It's a flesh wound. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Like a 50's a a 50's a fake.
A 50 would be a kill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see how that works. Jesus Christ. Oh, but then Matt Boardman snipes in with $2 and takes out 2 Federation presidents. 2 for 2 on Federation.
Well,
oh my god.
I mean, it is their choice because a flesh. I mean, you can tap out for a flesh wound. So.
Ooh, Kit 10K's lying on the ground. Pulls out his sidearm, shoots the assassin. Assassinate me. Bring it on.
And a $5 is a painful flesh wound. Like Matt's
showdown.
Matt's on the floor like, oh, fucking Kit. Oh.
You get shot in the leg or the arm or something with $5.
But Matt's still got his guns. Like, he's still fully loaded. His wallet is still right next to him. His credit card is still right there. This is our life. God damn it. Vote in the poll. Seriously, vote in the poll. Because I haven't seen it yet, so, you know, we want, you know, you guys need to be here to make it worth doing. Otherwise, there's no point us doing it, so.
Shannon Nash asks, who's the Confederation president? Well, that would be you if this was the Confederation timeline. You would be one of our presidents on the channel. You would have joined at the rank of Confederation president.
You should make a new tier, Confederation president.
Chris Slittle throws in £2. Foley's eating steak this week. I wish.
Oh.
Matt Boardman $2. Pew pew pew. Snipe. At least 3 shots were fired there.
Oh.
But split over $2. You know, that's like.
He like shot hairs off his arm. It's like,
yeah,
you know, like it's impressive. It's impressive that you missed him so well, but you still missed him so well. And briefly, some good news while people still voting the poll. I'm happy to report that Farragut Forward, who we interviewed last week on Thursday, officially got funded today.
Oh, last time I saw they were at 95%.
Like, just before the live. Now,
With 6 days left.
With 106%, $31,800, which is a fan film creator. That is like, wow! If I could raise that in the future, boy, I could not be in debt. Yeah, amazing. Well done. In 5 days, it's all gravy. You know, and it was. I mean, 30K is already like gravy. You know, that's already like what they sort of need. No, congratulations to them. And they want to interview me at some point this week. You know, they don't need to now as much because obviously, you know, they've got the money. But yeah, very, very congrats to them. I'm excited to see what they do because
awesome.
You know, 30K, pretty ambitious thing to do.
Well, guys, I think we'll call it there. We had a really good super chat goal and everything, and like goal. Still haven't got our second new member, but hey, can't be perfect every time, can we now? Let's see the poll results here.
Yes.
Do you want us to review the new Halo show tomorrow? Yes. Review it on Tuesday, 57%, and 43%. So the yays have it by a little bit.
Although with only 27 votes, that means we get 47 means we get like 22 people there.
We'll see. We might not do it tomorrow. We might do it next week. Who knows? A lot of people haven't seen it yet. Mario said I'll have to watch it, and I've been putting it off. I was putting it off too. I didn't even watch it till today. Samuel hasn't even watched it yet.
I've been busy because I want to watch it when I'm not tired because I've waited in theory like 15 years to watch it, so I want to actually watch it. And you shouldn't think, oh, I'll watch it then. I want to watch it at 3 a.m. Good plan. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Kit 10K throws in $10. Phaser is set to kill on level 16. Holy shit. Bam! Followed by a Federation bazooka.
Oh my God.
Gotcha again.
That's a jam-packed 10. Wow.
He took out Chris Little, Matt Boardman, and Mark Lawrence. Took out another Federation president as well with that bazooka.
Is the role of Confederation president? I mean, until we swap back, I mean, Confederation president kit, liberal use of the bazooka.
He's still alive and shooting, so he's still yeah.
So until next time,
he is Commander Cochran.
He's Captain Foley,
and this is still the correct timeline, I think.
We think.